Hi there. My name is Dr. Katrina Cox. I'm a naturopathic doctor and the author of The Opportunity in Cancer. Today's video is about support and why it's so important that cancer recovery people or those in remission really need to find support. And one of the biggest statistics when I was writing my book that I came across that made a huge impact for me was that 80% of those that have been through active treatment feel as though once they're finished active treatment that they have these feelings of abandonment and they're not sure where they come from. Abandonment is, if you look at the situation, I mean, the minute you get diagnosed, you get attached to a team, you see them very often, you do blood work, you do treatment, you go back and forth. There's, many different people that are involved in this. Nurses, radiologists, oncologists, doctors. There are a lot of support staff that you're seeing on a regular basis. But there's an interesting thing that happens that when you get through active treatment, they just say, go back to doing what you were doing. It's fine, you'll recover, it's normal. And this part is a part where I think the abandonment comes from because it feels like there's this loss of time, right? There is this amount of time where you've been so focused on a goal of just getting through treatment, getting the next scan to be clear, the next thing to be done, and we're kind of left to our own devices. And so there are lots of people who then find support networks. And some of the support networks have limitations, especially that those who are just in this recent realm of cancer recovery. And what those challenges are is that a lot of them share information, which is great. But again, information can be massively overwhelming, especially if it isn't particularly pertaining to you. And so a lot of these groups actually will connect people based on the types of cancers that they've been diagnosed with. And although in theory that makes sense, in actuality, there's a lot that can be desired because there's not a lot of filtration of different values and different goals for each person that's entered this group. And so it can be that hodgepodge smattering of information. And as you know, one of the biggest things that can be a drain on our people that I say all the time is that polarization can be a challenge. So there are a lot of people who can get very vindictive about right, wrong, things, that, this, that. And those moments of that limitation to that information sharing where you're not at the same space to be able to sort through it all can really be more of a limitation. And I think that that's a big thing. There's a lot of, in that information, there's still a lot of fear, there's still a lot of judgment, and it can be very draining for those that have just gone through it because there are people in that group a lot of times because they're not specific to cancer recovery, want what you have. There's emotions of jealousy. And there are a lot of people who can be very, very draining. How did you get through this? And although sharing your story can be helpful, it's not the same energy exchange, because you don't always get something back from those people. And it really became very evident to me because I was always taught to refer out for counseling and connection and those types of things. And I kept sending my patients to a local cancer support network group. And they would come back and go, I went to 1 or 2 meetings and it really wasn't for me. And I'm thinking, why? Because you're investing all of this effort. And then when I really got down to it, I realized that they weren't fulfilling the needs that my patients needed. And that was, they were missing the actual connection piece. And this was not a safe environment necessarily for them to share their beliefs. And so they were really, a lot of those groups are really stuck on the past. They're fixated on, the actual diagnosis themselves and the journey, but not necessarily on the recovery part. And so a lot of that part gets forgotten. So one of the reasons why I created the Cancer Remission Mission was to be able to create that group of people that are like-minded. And so the reason why support for me and the people that I work with is so important is because partnership is healing. It solves that lack of abandonment feelings, and recovery can be even more difficult during treatment. The second reason is that it addresses fatigue. Allies can help share life hacks. So that fatigue comes from not only the physical fatigue from recovery, but also the overwhelm in the decision-making part. It can drain the fatigue that that survivors face. And that overwhelm part is that underlying current that feeds that fatigue. When you have allies and friendships and partnerships that help you problem solve quicker, faster, and sort through things, and their values are the same, it's a lot easier to find that partnership that builds you up. And the third thing is, a lot of times people can be heard and misunderstood. And so finding a soft, safe place to land in order to discuss what's going on with you and to find that partnership is really one of the key factors. And that's what the Cancer Remission Mission is about. We're really excited at the Cancer Remission Mission that we're launching a live in-person workshop where it's experiential and it's going to be a part of that foundation of creating those connections. So please come join us if you can, and watch out for our next video because it talks about how to find the right support for you.